Hello dear students, welcome to our series on geography. In today's episode, let us understand Asia in the context of the world. This is part of the Unit 1 in World Regional Geography. In the first part, our focus is on the following areas: Asia's geographical features, spicy tourist destination, tectonic plates, how the continents moved, continents' future movement, and islands, island states and island territories and their geopolitical significance. Asia's geographical features. Asia is the largest of the 6 inhabited continents of the world. In terms of geographical area, Asia covers 8.6% of the Earth's total surface area, or 29.9% of the Earth's land area. With approximately 3.7 billion people, Asia hosts 60% of the world's current human population. In terms of area, Asia comprises of around 4.5 million square kilometers. Asia hosts 47 countries. China and India are the two most populous countries, accounting for more than 1 billion people each. 1.3 billion is the Chinese population and India accounts for 1.13 billion people. Asia is surrounded by 3 oceans: the Pacific Ocean to the east, Indian Ocean to the south, and the Arctic Ocean to the north. Among its landed neighbors, this vast continent touches almost all other inhabited continents: North America to the extreme northeast, Europe to the west, Africa to the southwest, and Australia to the southeast. Asia stretches into the cold Arctic Circle in the north, volcanic cliffs on its east coasts, as well as the steamy climes and coasts in the tropics near the equator. Asia thus enjoys a sample of all the world's agroclimatic and agrometeorological features. Asia is blessed with an unrivaled diversity of agricultural evolution, agricultural best practices and products, food, clothing, culture, language, philosophy, religions, ethnic races, cuisine, and political and economic activities. Being a whole hemisphere spreading from 29 degrees 51 north latitude to 48 degrees 6 east longitude to 21 degrees 32 north latitude to 118 degrees 54 east longitude, Asia is the largest of the continents in terms of landmass and hosts 47 countries. The eastern 4/5 of the giant Eurasian landmass, Asia is more a geographical term than a homogeneous continent. It has the greatest range of land elevation of any continent, has the longest coastline, is subject overall to the world's widest climatic variations, and consequently produces the most varied forms of vegetation and animal life on Earth. In addition, the peoples of Asia have established the broadest pattern of human adaptation found on any of the continents. Asia hosts deserts, snow-capped mountains, block mountains, fold mountains, glaciers, rivers, plateaus, isthmuses, islands and archipelagos, volcanoes, peninsulas, the world's deepest freshwater lake, cave ecosystems, underground or subterranean rivers, 4 inland seas, and the highest and the lowest points on Earth. While Mount Everest is the highest part of the world, the Dead Sea is an inland sea that is the lowest point on Earth, occurring below sea level. Thus, Asia provides a sample of the entire spectrum of geological contours on offer from Mother Nature. Further, myriad ecosystems are found to occur in Asia. Arctic climes with tundra vegetation, windswept snowfields, snow-drenched pine forests, fossil fuel-filled desert ecosystems, sand dunes, deserts, forest-draped, rain-drenched mountain ecosystems, mangrove and littoral forests, riverine ecosystems, estuarine ecosystems, mudflats, rich rainforests, coral reefs, and island ecosystems. And almost all these geological contours can be found in the Indian subcontinent itself. While the inland seas include the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, Aral Sea, and the Dead Sea, the Lake Baikal in Russia is the world's deepest freshwater lake. Spicy tourist destination. It is apt indeed to refer to Asia more as a geographical expression than a continent per se. The cosmopolitan culture in the cities, the bustling shopping arcades, the multiplexes give it the throb of a happening place maybe. But the historical confluence of the colonial legacies with the mystery of Oriental culture and tradition makes it the ultimate magic box for those bitten by the travel bug. Colonial edifices manifest in colonial architecture with a touch of the Orient, like in Shanghai and Singapore, Bangalore and Bangkok, Hanoi and Hiroshima, and Delhi and Dubai. The tang tastes of Oriental recipes dancing on the taste buds of Western travelers' tongues seduce the indecisive explorer of middle-class Europe and Americas, making Asia the ultimate travel destination. And what are these seductive destinations? Asia hosts volcanic caves draped in moist rainforests that float on the seas. There are snow-capped mountain trails, frothing rivers that offer whitewater rafting, and mysterious bird-watching trails. Trekking in mountain passes and caves are also popular leisure activities. A robust repertoire of cultural packages, from dances to dagobas, illuminated monuments to the greatest shrine of love and romance, the Taj Mahal, are as captivating as ancient citadels like the Great Wall of China and ancient silk routes that dot the mountain passes. The historical circuit includes temples and treasure troves of the Ancien regimes like in Hampi, hundreds of World Heritage sites, architectural marvels like the Red Fort and the Sun Temple, the Emerald Buddha statue of Shanghai, and dozens of Buddha statues across Asia remind the visitors to Asia of the rich philosophy, heritage, and traditions of Asia's religious medley. The rock-cut temples in India and West Asia, the tribes to totems from Sri Lanka to Siberia, Turkey to Turkmenistan are part of the rich repertoire of Asian destinations. Wildlife to wilderness havens, bustling bazaars to a thriving corporate culture laced by a vast educated middle class ignites the giants in the Asian economies. If Damascus was the oldest capital city in the world, the new hip and happening capital of the new world economy is Bangalore. Asia has it all. It would be apt to say, what is not there in Asia cannot be anywhere else. How did this magic happen? Let's go back to the bedrock of geology, the roots of landmass formation, the study of tectonic plates. Tectonic plates. The massive basalt rock sheets on which continents sit are called tectonic plates. These tectonic plates also support oceanic mountain ridges that soothe not only the planet Earth but accounts for the passage of cold and warm currents on the seas, giving the westerly winds and climate patterns the influence they shed on land masses. The revolutionary discovery of plate tectonics has led to a challenging of all traditional views that rest on the old notion of a stable planet. The new concept of plate tectonics pictures a turbulent, dynamic world where during 4.6 billion years of geological history, oceans have been buffeted about like hulks on a stormy sea. This revolutionary insight also answers riddles that have baffled man since the dawn of natural sciences. How the continents, oceans, mountains and islands were formed, the reasons for volcanoes and earthquakes, and why marine fossils are found embedded on the Himalayan peaks, to name but a few of such geological enigmas. Scientifically, the discovery of plate tectonics is as significant as the Darwinian evolution or Einstein's laws of energy and motion, and as important to humanity, says Morris Ewing, Dean of American Oceanographers in the Reader's Digest's The World Around Us. Far from being the solid, indestructible shell once imagined by geologists, the Earth's crust consists of a number of separate plates, actually 10 major ones, subdivided into varying sizes, and these are made of rock 64 to 96 kilometers thick, which float on the hot, viscous mantle beneath them. The Earth's land surfaces, which rest on these plates, as do the ocean floors, were once welded together in a single supercontinent. Some 200 million years ago, this supercontinent began to split up. Eventually, its pieces formed the present 7 continents and the major islands we know now. These land masses have slowly drifted apart like packages on a moving conveyor belt. The crustal plates are being built at their edges by molten rock welling up from deep fissures in mid-ocean. At the same time, these plates are being propelled across the globe by forces arising from deep within the Earth in various directions at the geologically wild speeds of from 1.27 centimeters to 15.24 centimeters a year. Phenomenal things occur as the plates jostle one another for room. When a moving continental plate made of mainly granite meets an ocean floor plate consisting of dense, less buoyant basalt, the continent rides over the sea floor plate like a titanic bulldozer. It scrapes off the layers of sediment deposited on the sea floor over many millions of years, as well as slices of crustal rock. This debris piles up along the edge of the continent like a rumpled blanket, forming mountain ranges. The ocean floor plate is forced down at a steep angle into the trenches at the edge of the continent. It melts from the heat of friction, forming deep underground pockets of white-hot lava. The trapped lava is forced up through crevices, erupting on the surface to create volcanoes. The collision, separation and shearing of the crustal plates also cause seismic disturbances. How the continents moved. In the era of Pangaea over 200 million years ago, the cluster of continental shelves held together the great land masses that eventually separated to become the continents we know today. In this forlorn cluster of landmass, India was sandwiched between the southeast coast of Africa and the northeast coast of Antarctica, and Australia was attached in its southern bight to the northeast coast of Antarctica. North America's northeast hugged the west coast of France on the western coastline of Europe, and today's Japan was at the northeastern peninsula of Asia, inside the Arctic Circle. India was liberated and started bolting north. To arrive where it is today, North America drifted northwest. The Eurasian plate, twisting 20 degrees clockwise, moved off to the north. Eurasia was pursued by Africa, which rotated counterclockwise. In the process, South America broke loose to the west, while Greenland and Northern Europe were parting company. The last 2 continents to separate from one another were Antarctica and Australia. with Australia migrating northward to warmer climes. The most spectacular journey of all has been made by India, which, once it tore loose from Africa and Antarctica, travelled 8,800 kilometers north in 180 million years, ramming into the belly of Asia. The Indian subcontinent sits on its own tectonic plate, then called Gondwana land. Apart from creating the Himalayan fold mountains, this crash changed the contours of the coastline, creating an archipelago in the east, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the Lakshadweep and the Maldives Islands in the southwest. The coast of Gujarat also splintered, creating two huge gulfs, Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Cambay. On India's east coast, this subduction created the world's largest riparian delta, that of the Ganges. It created large dents on the coastline. It created the world's largest mangrove ecosystem, the Sundarbans, in the Gangetic Delta, and splintered an archipelago that catapulted to the Sunda Plate, that is, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Indonesian archipelago that eventually tumbles into the Polynesian and the Micronesian islands housed themselves on the Sunda Plate or the Australasian Plate. Research has shown that geological phenomena like volcanoes and earthquakes release energy periodically to balance the equation of climate change in the near term as well as the long term. How the continents will move in the future. About the future, geologists can already speculate with considerable confidence. Assuming the plates keep moving in their present directions, scientists predict that the Atlantic Ocean will continue to widen while the Pacific Ocean shrinks. With Africa once again creeping towards Europe, the Mediterranean seems doomed eventually to become a shallow pond. The Himalayas will grow and India will cease burrowing under Asia, and India will slide eastward. Australia will proceed northward at almost 5.08 centimeters a year. North and South America will pursue their present westward voyage. The peninsula of Baja California and a sliver of the Californian coast west of San Andreas Fault, which lie on a separate plate from the rest of North America, will tear away from its mainland heading northwest. But Los Angeles residents should be in no hurry to pack their bags. Scientists calculate that it will take 10 million years more for the city to sail past San Francisco and another 50 million years before it slides into the Aleutian Trench. Present trends suggest the North Atlantic will be larger and the South Atlantic and the Pacific smaller. India will move farther east. Australia will almost touch Southeast Asia and have the equator pass right through its center instead of the Tropic of Capricorn that now runs through Australia. East Africa and part of California will set out to sea and new land will rise in the Caribbean. By around 135 million years ago, Pangaea had split along the east-west fault just above the equator. While the bulge of Brazil was protected by the southwest coast of Africa, the continent of Africa also pulled out of the grip of Antarctica. Northeast coast of North America was still fitting perfectly into the curvature of west coast of France in Europe. In the Pangaeanic era, the cluster of the continent started breaking up, pushing up Gondwana land northward. This clash eventually with Asia started shaping up the Indian subcontinent as we know it today. North America started separating from Europe, creating a pool in between. It is still widening the gap in the pool. The Atlantic Ocean, which is holding together the fast separating continents with the surface tension offered by the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, an oceanic mountain ridge that juts out of the ocean floor. This widening is causing the further stretching of North America from Europe, widening the breadth of the North Atlantic Ocean. The cataclysmic clash of the tectonic plate on which India was sitting with the Asiatic continent created the thrust that gave birth to the Himalayan fold mountains. It is because this clash of the tectonic plates continues to this day that Himalayas was rendered fold mountains, causing its gradual and sustained growth to this day. This cataclysmic clash further shaped up India's coasts, islands, birth and flow of rivers, and their drainage paths to the sea. Almost as violent were the happenings in the Mediterranean. Here the African plate crashed into Europe. The collision erected in Europe the mountain ranges of the Pyrenees, the Apennines and the Alps. On the other side of the globe, the Americas, Asia and Australia had started ploughing toward one another across the vast Pacific. The resulting disturbances in the trenches under the leading edges of these plates erected the Andes Mountains of South America and the island arcs of the Aleutians and Japan. South Asian archipelago. While many island ecosystems are found in South Asia, those with critical geopolitical significance include the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep Islands in India, Indonesian islands, Taiwan, the islands in the Korean Sea and the 4 big islands in Japan. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Andaman Nicobar Islands spread from 14 degrees 24 north latitude, 93 degrees 10 east longitude to 6 degrees 13 north latitude to 93 degrees 57 east longitude. The total landmass of all the islands put together sums up to 8,249 square kilometers. The northern group of islands, called the Andaman District, is separated from the Nicobar group of islands by the 10 degrees channel. It spans 139 kilometers wide and 1,399 meters deep. There are over 572 islands in the island chain. Only 35 of these are inhabited. Over 86% of the landmass enjoys forest cover. Being thus so strategically located, the island's enhanced geopolitical significance is crucial to the entire Asia-Pacific and the South Asian region. The different islands in the Andaman-Nicobar archipelago include the following islands: Triparis, Great Coco, Little Coco, Landfall, Nakondam, West Island, North Reef, South Island, Long Island, Barren Island, North Passage, Henry Lawrence, Andaman-Nicobar Ridge, John Lawrence, Head, Neil Island, Rutland, Sink, Passage, North Brother, North Sentinel, South Sentinel Island in the northern group of islands in the Andaman district, and in the Nicobar district's islands we find Kha Nicobar, Batimalv, Chaura, Tilanchong, Isle of Man, Teresa, Kamota, Kachel, Little Nicobar, Cornwall and Great Nicobar. The Indonesian archipelago sits on the Sunda plate or the Australasian plate, and also in terms of geopolitics belongs more to ASEAN than to South Asia. Though the entire island chain is a volcanic ecosystem, only 3 islands have recorded eruptions. Barren Island is still an active volcano. Nakondam is dormant and Invisible Bank is an extinct volcano. Besides, there is a mud volcano in Baratang in the Jarawa reserves in Middle Andamans. Geopolitical significance. Other islands like Maldives, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Diogo Garcia, Mauritius, Madagascar and Singapore are also crucial stakes for global powers. Dozens of countries seek a base for their defense installations. Economic powers like USA, UK, Australia, India, China and France, besides the countries on the Indian Ocean rim, seek to optimize the utilization of resources that obtains from land in this crucial region. The contours of the different ecosystems that prevail in this vast continent thus offer different terrain patterns and different biodiversity profiles. Together with the rainfall, weather vagaries and climatic patterns, Asians have thus inherited rich and diverse agrodiversity. This rich agrodiversity manifests in the form of horticulture, floriculture, fisheries, animal husbandry, harvesting of minor forest produce like honey, lichens and mosses, medicinal herbs, etc. All these human activities have been engendered into the lifestyles of different groups of people who have grown accustomed to the bounty offered by Mother Nature. We thus see how traditions have evolved around natural resources. That is what is meant by agro-meteorological factors conditioning traditional vocations. With this insight, dear students, you now have a fairly in-depth perspective of how the Mother Earth has literally shaped up the place we live in. In this chapter, we have understood the origins of the continents and the diverse geographical and geological factors that have shaped our lives in this thriving, heart-throbbing continent called Asia. In our next episode, we shall understand how the land is influenced by and influences terrain pattern. I hope you will join us then.